Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Mindful Self-Compassion video. Today we're going to be discussing how we can practice self-compassion in our everyday life. There are multiple pathways for evoking self-compassion in your daily life. One approach is somatic, which is soothing or supportive touch. There is evidence that shows that touch is a reliable way of expressing kindness and compassion to others, and that it triggers physiological changes. And that even watching a simple gesture like putting a hand over the heart can influence how people think and feel. There is anecdotal evidence that suggests that giving soothing touch to oneself can have similar effects. However, a small percentage of participants, when they participate in this hand over heart, actually feel anxiety, so just be aware of that. Perhaps they feel embarrassed about self-care, or maybe the gesture makes them feel vulnerable. Any of these reasons could be why they experience this side effect. We also invite everyone listening to this to explore alternative ways of supporting yourself with touch, especially because touch is such an important communicator of yin. We're going to go through a series of exercises that I want you to participate in. And we're going to try and discover what soothing touch really comforts you and is the most soothing and supportive for you. So first off, I want you to take your two hands and I want you to place them over your heart. Take a moment and just be self-compassionate. How do you feel placing two hands over your heart? The next gesture that we can do is you're going to cup one hand over your fist, over your heart. And this is kind of like a modified two hands over heart, and it helps symbolize strength with kindness. How does it make you feel? Alright, the next gesture is placing one hand on the belly and one over the heart. How does that feel? And start to compare these different kind of soothing touch gestures in order to learn whichever one works best for you. The next one is go ahead and place two hands on your belly. Is that comforting or soothing to you? The next one, we're going to go ahead and place one hand on a cheek. How is that? Alright, the next one is go ahead and cradle your face in your hands. And how is that? Do you feel comforted? Alright, the next one is going and gently stroking one's arm. Does that communicate self-compassion for you? Okay, another one is go ahead and cross your arms and just go ahead and give yourself a gentle squeeze, like a little hug. Does that communicate self-compassion? Another one to explore is gently stroking your chest. You can go either back and forth or in small circles. And how does that feel for you? Does it communicate self-compassion? Next one is go ahead and cup your hands in your lap. Does that feel self-compassionate to you? Alright, go ahead and you can pause the video or rewind to go through all those different gestures and try and find one or multiple that work for you. Also, you can explore other gestures that we didn't use, but we just want to find some form of soothing touch that feels good and is self-compassionate to you. If you're having difficulty with this aspect of soothing touch, is there another way you can physically soothe or support yourself, such as petting your dog or taking a warm bath? Something that I want to explore with you is the idea that your self-judgment can be an obstacle to self-soothing. So recognize that your resistance might be your own self-judgment, and to recognize that. And something important to note about soothing touch is that you have to wish to be soothed and supported. If the intention is not there, it won't work in self-compassion. Sometimes soothing touch may not feel very good, but the goodwill behind the gesture is really the point of the practice. You are exercising your self-compassion muscle. Another way of going about doing self-compassion in your everyday life is through what they call the self-compassion break. And this is an informal practice that you can apply whenever you find yourself in a stressful situation. We're teaching this kind of formally, but as you exercise this kind of self-compassion break, it will become more automatic in your life and can be integrated into your lifestyle. So I want you to go ahead and think of a situation in your life that is difficult, that is causing you stress right now, such as a health problem, a problem in an important relationship, a work problem, or perhaps someone crossed your boundaries or disrespected you in some way. Please choose a problem in the mild to moderate range, not a big problem. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves as we're just first learning the skill of self-compassion. So go ahead and take a moment and think of a situation. Now that you have a situation, I want you to allow yourself to see, hear, and feel your way into the problem to the extent that you experience some uneasiness in your body. Where are you feeling it most? And go ahead and make contact or soothing touch with the discomfort that you feel in your body. And I want you to say to yourself slowly and clearly, this is a moment of suffering. That's mindfulness. Other options include, this hurts, ouch, or this does not feel good. Next, I want you to say to yourself again slowly and clearly, suffering is a part of living. This expresses common humanity. Other options could include, others would feel just like me. I'm not alone. Or me too. We want to express that we're sharing the human experience in our pain. Now I want you to put your hands over your heart or wherever you found that soothing touch works for you, and feel the warmth in your hands. Say to yourself, may I be kind to myself. May I give myself what I need. That's self-kindness. Those phrases help demonstrate self-kindness. So, as we discussed in a previous lecture, expressing self-compassion may come in the form of yin or yang. If you're trying to express self-compassion in yin language, you might say, may I accept myself just as I am. Or, may I care for myself tenderly in this moment. If you're trying to express yang self-compassion, you can say something like, no, I will not allow myself to be harmed in this way. Or, may I have the courage and strength to make a change. If you're having difficulty finding the right words, imagine that a dear friend or loved one is having the same problem as you. What would you say to this person, heart to heart, without giving advice? If your friend were to hold just a few of your words in her mind, what would you like them to be? What message would you like to deliver? Now, can you offer that same message to yourself? So I want to just give you a moment and let that kind of practice settle inside for you to reflect. You can ask yourself, what did I notice? Or what did I feel? You could also ask, did I notice an internal shift when I said, this is a moment of suffering? What happened when you reminded yourself that all living beings suffer? Or were there any words or kindness that spoke to you in your situation? Another question you might ask yourself is, Did you need yin or yang self-compassion? Go ahead and take a moment and write down your answers to those questions. So the self-compassion break that is composed of those three things, a statement of this is a moment of suffering is a part of life, and may I be kind to myself in this moment, are all phrases that I use in my daily life and when I'm experiencing hurt or pain. But you can explore and find what feels authentic to you, what phrases work for you. The important thing is that the first phrase represents mindfulness. I am aware. I am self-aware. I am mindful of my situation. The second phrase just needs to be, this is common humanity. So a phrase that expresses that we are all part of the human family in some way. For me, like, this is a part of life, or all people suffer at times, or I am not alone. The third phrase that you should try and develop for yourself is the may I be kind to myself in this moment, or some phrase like that expresses self-compassion. And you may gravitate more towards yin or yang depending on your situation or your state in life. So the self-compassion break is one of the most popular informal practices for mindful self-compassion. You can apply any of these three components singly or together. You can use the practice to comfort yourself, yin, or to move bravely into a new world, yang. Over time, a simple gesture such as soothing or supportive touch might be able to evoke the whole experience of a self-compassion break without needing to practice each component. I would also remind you to practice the self-compassion break during this entire course as you need it. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and give you some homework. I want you to review this video and review the practices contained here and try them out at home. Try and do it maybe once a day, and also when you are facing a difficult situation. So in closing, I'm just going to share with you guys a poem that I think is great and captures the humility, tenderness, and common humanity of self-compassion. It's called Just For Me, and it's by Ana Villalobos. And it goes like this. What if a poem were just for me? What if I were audience enough because I am? Because this person here is alive, is flesh, is conscious, has feelings, counts? What if this one person mattered not just for what she can do in the world, but because she is part of the world and has a soft and tender heart? What if that heart mattered? If kindness to this one mattered? What if she were not distinct from all others, but instead connected to others in her sense of being distinct, of being alone, of being uniquely isolated, the one piece removed from the picture, all the while vulnerable deep under, the layers of sedimentary defense? Oh, let me hide. Let me be ultimately great, ultimately shy. Remove me, then I don't have to be. But I am. Through all the antics of distinctness from others, or not really theirs, I remain. No matter what my disguise, genius, idiot, glorious scum, underneath, it's still just me, still here, still warm and breathing and human, with another chance simply to say hi, and recognize my tenderness, and be just a little bit kind to this one as well, because she counts too. Thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you have a great Sunday.